Hey, this is CeeCee and welcome to my first documented live project from start to finish. I decided to film those as much as possible. I did not film week 1, but here is my week 2. The challenge for week 2 was to use gesso, and the prompt was the beginning is always today. So I'm writing that information on my index pages. And as you can see, I'm also numbering my pages so I can refer back to the pages as easily as possible. That was the whole purpose of the index pages. My starting point was to use these 2 pieces of pattern paper that I had in my stash, and I'm going to glue them down with a heavy coat of collage page. This is the matte one. And I'm going to use an old card to smooth out any air bubbles, making sure that the edges are really well adhered. And I'm going to try and match the pattern on the second page as much as possible, but I did not really waste any time with that, just because I'm going to use, of course, a lot of gesso and some paint over that. And because I have a lot of collage page on this, I let that dry thoroughly. I also used my heat tool to speed up the process. And now I'm removing the excess paper with scissors. So this is my first of my gessoing, or the first pass at gessoing. I wanted to have kind of like a blank canvas in the middle because I'm going to stamp in there, and I'm also going to be doing some journaling. So I'm adding a very light coat of gesso, dry brushing it, and I'm going to let that dry, actually dry it with my heat tool. And this is a technique that I've been using for a couple of years now, I guess. This is an Inktense pencil, and I'm using the tree stamp that I have as a guide. So what I'm doing right now is I'm creating kind of like a shadow. And the Inktense pencil is, of course, water soluble. And I'm using the gesso instead of water to blend that color. And it just gives that beautiful, soft color. Also, the good thing about the Inktense pencil is that although it's water soluble, it is ink. So once it is dry, it is permanent. So I have double the protection there. I have the gesso that will protect my color, but I also have the quality of the Inktense pencil being permanent. So I know that I can add stuff over that and the color will not bleed through, which is awesome. So I'm using a baby wipe to soften the color even more. So this is my first color. The second color is an Aqua Dolce Gelato. Again, using the same technique, and it's the same properties. The color is permanent when dry, and of course with the double protection of the gesso, that color will not move either, which is perfect. So it gives you time to react with the gesso. You can also blend it with a baby wipe, but then once everything is dry, this is permanent. So again, I'm dry brushing the gesso over that color and using a baby wipe to blend the 2 colors together. The Aqua Dolce is beautiful. It's a light color, but it matches perfectly with the light blue that I have on the pattern paper. And unfortunately, the Aquamarine Inktense pencil was supposed to be darker in my head. But by adding the gesso, of course, it got lighter. I'm using the same pencil again to roughly sketch the tree to make a darker shadow. And that was an attempt also that kind of failed. I thought by using water instead of gesso that I would get a stronger shadow. It kind of worked, but it wasn't the color I was looking for. So I'm going to go over with a black Inktense pencil now to attempt to darken that color, but then I used gesso, so it wasn't the result that I was looking for. I was afraid with the water it might have been too dark. So here I'm using 2 colors of gelatos, the tangerine and the blood orange, and that is to kind of pick up the color that's on the pattern paper as well and work with me here. I have a plan. They are not apricots, as my friend Ursula suggested. You'll see later what I'm going to be doing with those. So of course I'm blending those colors with gesso as well, using my fingers because that's my best tool. And I love the effect that I got. I love that vibrant color that I got by blending these two colors. They're just so yummy. I'm going to be using the black Intense pencil to go around to create a shadow around these shapes and blending it with a water brush. And to create some highlights, I'm using gesso on the left-hand side. So my light is kind of coming from the left-hand side. And I thought that I would experiment more with gesso. I thought, okay, maybe I can stamp with gesso. It worked, but my suggestion is to use a smaller stamp because gesso has a tendency to dry very fast. So I was really going really fast and I missed some areas, but that's okay because I'll get the general outline. And I love the effect that I got, kind of like a smooshed effect on the tree trunk, which I liked. So I'm going to leave some of these areas as is, but the rest I'm going to fill in with a palette knife. I wanted kind of like a textured, sketchy look without adding too much volume. So here is the whole tree completed, and I really like that look. I decided to go for the quote that was suggested, and these are actually dark blue stickers, office stickers, from Webster's Pages that I had in my stash again. And I'm just going to spell out the quote. And I'm really having fun with the placement of the letters. I'm going to add more shadow to the right of the tree. And because I needed to anchor it on the right side of the page, it looked like it was floating. Even though I know I'm going to add some shadow at the bottom, I needed to anchor the color in the tree together to the right side of the page. So I'm going to start with the brush, and of course I revert to my fingers just because I can't help it. I love painting with my fingers. So blending some of that, removing some of that, you know, you kind of make it up as you go, I guess. And I'm also going to add more of that Aqua Dolce and Gelato for the lighter color on the left-hand side. I love this color. It reminds me of ice. I really, really like it. I'm just adding the name of the originator of the quote with a permaball pencil. And I thought that these orange circles needed more pop, more shadow. So I'm using this time the Stabilo All pencil, which is an aquarellable pencil. And I'm also blending that down with a water brush. And I'm adding the shadow underneath the tree with the same pencil. And I decided that the tree needed some more pop. It was kind of fading in the background, so I'm using my permaball pencil to add some sketch lines all around the shapes, the leaves, and the tree trunk. I'm not going for perfection here. I'm really sketching, scribbling, doodling, whatever you want to call it. But as you can see here, this is a very rough outline, and I love the look. Because everything else on my page kind of looked very clean, straight edge, I guess, if you want to say it that way, like the letters are perfectly clean. I needed something sketchy somewhere to balance everything out. And because I added shadows, I needed also to add some highlights. So I'm going over the left-hand side of each circles with a paint pen. Now to finish everything off, I'm adding some drops of gold. This is Color Shine in the color Gold by Heidi Swapp, and it just picked up that yellowish color on the paper perfectly. I love, love, love the effect. And if you think that these orange circles are random, I had a plan at the beginning. These are reserved for my weekly journaling. Of course, I'm not going to show you my journaling, but I'm just adding the dates here with a permaball pen. And that is it for this week. I hope that you've enjoyed this start to finish. As usual, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below, and I will see you later. Bye.